It's 8 a.m. You're scrolling with one hand, coffee in the other. Your feed is a parade of other men's victories, a promotion announcement, a polished couple on vacation, a clip of some stranger speaking with the kind of certainty you've never been allowed to wear in public. You pause, not because you care, but because something in you flinches. Then you open your messages. A coworker just checking in on something you already delivered. A friend sends a meme instead of respect. A family member asks for a favor the way they ask for the weather, assuming you'll comply. You type your replies carefully. You soften your tone. You add the little laugh. You make yourself easy. And then you look up and realize the room you live in is built out of small permissions you gave away. You're not being attacked. That would at least be honest. You're being managed. Not because you're weak, not because you're stupid, but because you were trained to be harmless, trained to be agreeable, trained to speak in safe sentences, to want what you're told to want, to apologize for wanting more. That is what an NPC really is, not a meme, a function, a predictable unit that powers other people's outcomes. And the modern world rewards that. It rewards the man who never disrupts the room, the man who asks for permission, the man whose reputation is nice, reliable, easy to work with. They will clap for you while they keep you in your place. They will smile at you while they write your limits in invisible ink. But here's the part no one says out loud. Reputation is not who you are. Reputation is what people are allowed to believe about you. And if you don't decide what they're allowed to believe, they will decide it for you. In 2026, the crown isn't metal. It's perception. It's narrative. It's the silent agreement in the minds of others that you are not to be handled casually, that your presence has weight, that your name has consequences. This channel is the voice of Machiavelli's lessons, but the avatar that delivers them is not a ghost of Florence. The modern prince is you, complete Machiavellian. No fantasies, no moral sedation, only strategy. So the question is simple, and it's uncomfortable. Are you going to remain a background character in your own life? Or are you going to perform the reputation upgrade that makes people recalibrate the way they treat you? Let's begin. Your first upgrade is not confidence. It's removal. Because the NPC doesn't lack power, he leaks it. He leaks it in the way he answers too fast, in the way he explains himself before anyone even asks, in the way he smiles to prove he's safe, in the way he fills silence like silence is a mistake. Here is the rule for a modern prince in 2026. Stop performing accessibility. Most people are not judging your character. They are measuring your boundaries. They are testing how quickly you fold, how cheaply you can be bought with approval, how easily you can be redirected with guilt. So your first practical step is simple, and it will feel unnatural if you've been domesticated. Replace immediate response with controlled timing, not as a game, as a filter. When a message comes in, do not treat it like a fire alarm. When someone asks for something, do not treat it like a command. The world has trained you to be responsive because responsiveness is obedience with good branding. You upgrade by slowing down. Pause before you reply. Read it twice. Let your nervous system settle. Then respond with fewer words than you want to. Shorter than your old self would send. Cleaner, less emotional, less apologetic. No paragraphs of explanation. No haha to soften your authority. No just to shrink your request. No sorry unless you did damage. This one shift changes everything because it reverses the power dynamic. The person who can wait is the person who is not afraid to lose you. The person who can hold silence is the person who is not begging to be liked. Now apply it in real life. When someone pushes a decision onto you, you don't say yes or no instantly. You say, "I'll think about it." When someone tries to corner you with urgency, you don't rush to prove you care. You say, "I'll get back to you." When someone asks you to justify your choice, you don't open your chest and offer your organs. You say, "That's what I'm doing." Calm, neutral, final. This is not rudeness. This is sovereignty. And here is the hidden reason it works. People don't respect your intentions. They respect your patterns. If your pattern is instant access, you become a utility. If your pattern is measured access, you become a presence. You are not trying to impress them. You are training them. Because reputation is built the way animals learn, through repetition and consequence. So for the next 7 days, you follow a single discipline. No immediate replies, unless it's truly urgent. No explaining your decisions to people who aren't affected. No emotional padding to make your boundaries easier to swallow. You will feel discomfort. Good. That discomfort is withdrawal. You're detoxing from being manageable. This is the first level up. You stop leaking power through your mouth, your thumbs, and your nervous compliance. The modern prince does not announce his crown. He behaves in a way that forces the room to notice it. Your second upgrade is brutal because it attacks the oldest addiction, being understood. The NPC craves clarity because clarity feels like safety. He over-explains. He pre-apologizes. He gives disclaimers. He adds context nobody asked for. He tries to control how he is perceived by pouring himself out until there's nothing left to misinterpret. And that is exactly why he gets misinterpreted anyway. A modern prince learns a colder truth. People don't reward transparency. They reward mystery that feels intentional. Not fake mystery, not playing games, strategic opacity. Because in the modern world, the person who explains himself is the person who can be negotiated with. The person who can be negotiated with is the person who can be moved. So the habit you replace is this. Replace justification with decision. You are not a defendant. Stop speaking like one. Watch how quickly your reputation upgrades when your sentences become clean. A modern prince understands that the most dangerous thing you can give away is your inner wiring. Your motives are your leverage points. Your emotions are your handles. Your explanations are the map to your guilt, your fear, and your need to be approved. Once someone knows what drives you, they can steer you. Family will steer you with obligation. Friends will steer you with shame. Coworkers will steer you with urgency. Strangers will steer you with social pressure. So your upgrade is strategic opacity. You don't make your feelings the center of every exchange. You don't narrate your internal debate. You don't provide background that invites argument. You state what is happening, and you let it stand. This single shift changes your reputation faster than almost anything else, because it changes the relationship people have with your boundaries. A boundary with reasons becomes a debate. A boundary without reasons becomes a fact. And facts are respected, even when they aren't liked. Here's the practical step. When you feel the urge to explain, treat it like a symptom. Ask yourself, am I about to speak to inform or to defend? If you're defending, you're already beneath them. So you cut the extra layer, say less, not to be mysterious, to be sovereign. Then you use the final weapon most people are too weak to use: silence. When you stop explaining, people will fill the space with tests. They'll label you. They'll provoke you into clearing things up. They'll act confused to pull you back into old patterns. You don't bite. You let their discomfort exist without rescuing them from it. That is the moment your status shifts. Because the man who can withstand misunderstanding without panic is the man who is not governed by other people's approval. And in 2026, approval is the cheapest chain. This chapter is not about becoming rude. It's about becoming impossible to negotiate with when the subject is your choices, your time, your direction, your crown. You don't owe the world your inner life. You owe yourself your authority. Your third upgrade is the one that scares people around you because it changes the social contract. You stop being available for free. The NPC believes constant availability is loyalty. He answers instantly, shows up instantly, helps instantly, listens endlessly, absorbs chaos, fixes problems that aren't his, carries emotions that don't belong to him. He thinks this makes him good. It makes him predictable. And predictability is not virtue, it is captivity. Here is the law. If your time is cheap, you will be treated cheaply, not always with cruelty, often with casualness, the kind that looks like familiarity, but is actually disrespect wearing a friendly face. So the habit you replace is this. Replace reflexive availability with scheduled access. A modern prince does not drift through other people's emergencies. He decides where his attention goes before the world demands it. Because attention is the currency of the modern era. You can lose money and recover. You can lose time and never retrieve it. Every time you let someone pull you out of your focus, they are not just interrupting you. They are training you to be interruptible. And an interruptible man cannot build anything. Not a body, not a business, not a reputation, not a crown. Your upgrade begins with a simple move. Create protected time blocks that are non-negotiable, not because you're busy, because you are building a life that requires silence, depth, and momentum. Most people never experience depth because they never defend their attention long enough for depth to appear. Then comes the harder part. You enforce it without anger. Anger is weakness because it communicates that they got inside you. A modern prince doesn't snap. He recalibrates the relationship with calm consequence. When someone expects instant access, you give delayed access. When someone dumps their chaos on you, you redirect it. When someone uses guilt, you do not argue with it. You let guilt hit the floor and stay there. This is not cruelty. This is precision. Because the people who benefit from your availability will call your boundaries selfish. They will act wounded. They will bring up the past. They will try to frame your growth as betrayal. That is the test. The moment you become harder to reach, the world reveals who valued you and who used you. And you must be willing to pay that price. Practical step for the next 2 weeks. Choose 3 categories of access and set new rules in your behavior. First, communication. You do not respond on demand, you respond on your schedule. Second, favors. You do not accept surprise obligations. You require notice, you require respect, you require terms. Third, emotional labor. You do not become a dumping ground. You do not host other people's panic as if it's your responsibility to manage their mood. You will notice something immediately. The room shifts. Some will adapt and respect you more. Some will complain and reveal themselves. Some will disappear because they were never your allies, only your consumers. That is a reputation upgrade. Because reputation is not built by telling people you have value. It's built by behaving like your time has value until everyone else agrees. The modern prince does not chase. He structures. He does not offer himself endlessly. He allocates himself deliberately. And that, more than any motivational speech, is how you take your crown back in a world designed to keep you distracted, accessible, and small. Your 4th upgrade is where you stop being a social citizen and become a sovereign. You stop trying to belong. Because the NPC's deepest weakness isn't fear, it's hunger. The hunger to be included, validated, invited, remembered. He shapes his personality around the room he's in, then wonders why nobody remembers him when he leaves. Here is the law. If you need the group owns you. And in 2026, most groups aren't communities. They're convenience networks. They exchange attention, gossip, favors, and emotional comfort. The price of entry is subtle. You must remain compatible. You must not outgrow the tone. You must not become too disciplined, too ambitious, too sharp. The moment you change, the group senses a threat. So the behavior you replace is this. Replace social loyalty with strategic alignment. A modern prince chooses people the way a general chooses terrain, not by emotion, by outcome. This doesn't mean you become paranoid. It means you become precise. Start by auditing your circle with a cold eye. Who benefits from you staying the same? Who mocks seriousness, discipline, improvement? Who only calls when they need something? Who rewards your weakness with comfort but punishes your strength with distance? Pay attention to what happens when you say no. Pay attention to what happens when you win. Pay attention to what happens when you become quieter. Your friends are not who you laugh with. Your friends are who your future can survive around. Because every environment has gravity. Spend enough time with the unserious and you will become soft. Spend enough time with the chaotic and you will become distracted. Spend enough time with the bitter and you will become small-minded. And the worst part is it feels normal while it's happening. So the modern prince makes a difficult shift. He stops donating his time to relationships that drain his direction. You don't need a dramatic breakup. You don't need speeches. You don't need accusations. That is still NPC behavior, seeking closure, seeking permission, seeking to be understood. You simply reallocate. Less availability, less emotional investment, less access to your inner life, and in the same motion, you build replacement. This is the part most people avoid. They cut people off and then sit alone, starving for connection, and crawl back. A modern prince replaces deliberately. He seeks rooms where standards are normal. He seeks people whose habits intimidate him a little. He chooses mentors over buddies. He chooses builders over commentators. He chooses those who speak in actions, not opinions. Then comes the final piece, family. Family will often be your hardest test because they feel entitled to the old version of you. They will call your boundaries disrespect. They will interpret your growth as rejection. They will use history as a chain. But history is not a contract. Love is not ownership. Respect is not optional. You do not need to fight them. You do not need to convince them. You enforce the same principle. Access is earned by behavior. If someone can't respect your time, your direction, your discipline, then they get less of you, calmly, consistently, without drama. This is the upgrade. You stop building your life around who might feel neglected, offended, or confused. You build it around who you are becoming. And when the right people feel your new gravity, something changes. They stop treating you like a peer they can handle. They start treating you like a man with standards. That is the modern prince's social strategy, not popularity. Placement, not belonging. Rule: your fifth upgrade is the one that separates men who are noticed from men who are remembered. You stop broadcasting your weakness in real time. The NPC narrates his life as he lives it. He posts the frustration. He vents the disappointment. He explains the setback. He reacts publicly to disrespect. He turns emotion into content, then wonders why people stop taking him seriously. Here's the law. The world does not reward honesty. It rewards composure. Because composure signals power. It signals that you are not governed by the moment, that you can absorb pressure without leaking, that you can be hit without flinching. And in the modern world, where everyone is constantly performing, the man who does not react becomes the man everyone watches. So the behavior you replace is this. Replace public reaction with private processing. A modern prince does not give his enemies free information. He does not give the crowd free entertainment. He does not turn his emotions into a public referendum. He controls what is seen. That means you develop a strict rule for your digital presence and your social behavior. No emotional posting. No angry subtweets. No explaining your side. No clapping back. No public spirals disguised as being real. Not because you're fake, because you're disciplined. You handle your emotions in a closed room, not in the marketplace. Why? Because every time you react publicly, you lower your price. You teach people exactly what triggers you. You show them what penetrates your skin. You reveal what you crave: validation, sympathy, victory, attention. And once they know that, they can manufacture it. They can bait you. They can control you without touching you. A modern prince is not controlled that easily. So you adopt the calmest weapon in the modern world: delayed response. When something happens, you do nothing publicly. You wait. You let the adrenaline burn off. You decide what outcome you want. Then, if a response is necessary, you respond once, cleanly, with minimal exposure. Most of the time, no response is the response. Silence forces the room to fill in the blanks, and the blanks usually inflate your authority because uncertainty makes people cautious. They stop treating you casually when they can't predict your next move. This chapter is not about becoming a monk. It's about becoming unreadable to the unworthy. Practical step for the next month: create a 2-layer life. Layer 1, the public you. Measured, stable, focused, strategic. Only outcomes, only standards, only direction. Layer 2, the private you, where emotions are processed, not performed. Where anger is converted into action. Where pain becomes discipline. Where humiliation becomes training. If you need to speak, speak to a friend who has earned access. Speak to a journal, speak to the gym, speak to the work. But do not speak to the crowd. The crowd does not love you. The crowd consumes you. And the man who wants his crown back cannot afford to be consumable. He must be respected. He must be difficult to read, difficult to bait, difficult to shake. That is how a reputation hardens, not through loud dominance, through controlled visibility, and a silence that suggests consequences. Your 6th upgrade is where fantasies die and leverage is born. You stop trying to look powerful and start becoming useful in a way that cannot be ignored. The NPC thinks status comes from aesthetics, posture, quotes, and confidence. He invests in appearance before ability. He wants the aura of authority without the substance that forces authority. But the modern world is cruelly efficient. If you cannot produce, people will tolerate you. If you can produce, people will orbit you. Here is the law. Respect is rented by competence and owned by leverage. Competence gets you invited. Leverage makes you untouchable. So the behavior you replace is this. Replace consumption with acquisition. Most men learn by absorbing content that makes them feel informed. They binge advice, opinions, podcasts, threads. They become educated spectators. They can talk about strategy, but they cannot execute one. They mistake information for transformation. A modern prince studies differently. He studies to gain advantage, not to feel inspired. He chooses one domain that multiplies his value in the modern world, and he goes deep until the room can feel it. Not 10 shallow interests, one sharp edge. And he does it with proof, because the marketplace of perception is full of talkers. Proof is the only language that cuts through the noise. So, you build a private curriculum with 3 pillars. First, skill that creates outcomes. Something that produces results other people want. Money, solutions, clarity, systems, performance. Second, understanding of power systems. How incentives work, how status is assigned, how institutions protect themselves, how people move when fear or profit is involved. You don't need conspiracy, you need literacy. Third, control of communication, not charisma, precision. The ability to write, speak, negotiate, and frame decisions cleanly. If you cannot frame, you will be framed. Now, the upgrade that matters. You stop telling people you're improving. You let your output announce it. Because announcing your self-improvement is still seeking permission. It's asking the room to applaud the man you intend to become. A modern prince does not request applause. He returns with receipts. Practical step: adopt a daily power hour that is non-negotiable. Not motivation, not mood, not spare time, a fixed appointment with your future. During that hour, you do only 2 things. You build, you sharpen. No scrolling, no commentary, no debating strangers, no research that turns into entertainment. You produce something measurable. A page written, a skill drilled, a project advanced, a plan improved, a system created. Then you stack evidence quietly. 1 week of proof changes your self-image. 3 months changes your reputation. A year changes your rank. And here is the Machiavellian detail most men miss. Education is not morality. Education is weaponry. You are learning what others refuse to learn because it makes them uncomfortable. How influence works, how negotiation works, how scarcity works, how people actually decide who matters. Once you see these mechanisms, you stop being manipulated by them. You stop taking disrespect personally. You stop begging for fairness. You stop thinking the world is run by should. You start thinking in incentives, timing, and outcomes. This is how you take your crown back without ever arguing for it. You become the man whose presence solves problems, the man whose competence makes others careful, the man whose leverage makes disrespect expensive. In 2026, that is royalty. Not a title, a position the room has no choice but to recognize. Your seventh upgrade is where you stop losing wars you never agreed to fight. You reclaim your frame. The NPC lives inside other people's frames. He inherits their urgency, their definitions, their emotions, their interpretations. When someone accuses him, he defends. When someone pressures him, he explains. When someone is offended, he backpedals. He spends his life responding to narratives that were written about him by people who benefit from his confusion. Here is the law. The person who sets the frame controls the outcome. A frame is not an argument. It's the invisible boundary that decides what the argument even means. It determines who is reasonable, who is guilty, who is selfish, who is too much, who is not enough. So the behavior you replace is this. Replace reactive communication with declarative positioning. A modern prince does not enter every conversation as a suspect trying to prove his innocence. He enters as an authority defining reality. This starts with one discipline. Stop accepting other people's labels. When someone tries to name your behavior for you, they're not describing you. They're controlling you. Labels are cages that look like opinions. You're selfish. You've changed. You think you're better. You're too intense. These aren't observations. They're levers. An NPC grabs the lever and pulls it on himself. A modern prince leaves it hanging. He doesn't debate the label because debate legitimizes it. He doesn't perform outrage because outrage reveals fragility. He stays calm and refuses the premise. Then comes the deeper level. You stop negotiating your standards. Standards are not a conversation. They are a filter. If you treat your standards like something that must be justified, you will be talked out of them by anyone who dislikes the consequences. People will try to bargain you down to the version of you that was easiest to use. So you upgrade by making your standards simple and consistent. This is what I tolerate. This is what I don't. This is what I'm building. This is what it costs to access me. Not in speeches, in behavior. Because the strongest frame is lived, not announced. Now, apply this to family, friends, work, and romance. Family will try to frame boundaries as disrespect. Friends will frame ambition as arrogance. Work will frame your time as their entitlement. Romance will frame your standards as insecurity. This is where the modern prince earns his name. He does not argue with frames. He replaces them. He responds to manipulation with stillness. He responds to guilt with calm consequence. He responds to pressure with a slower pace. He responds to disrespect with distance. And here's the practical step that forces this upgrade into reality. Adopt a one-sentence rule under pressure. When someone corners you emotionally, your mouth wants to spill. You want to win the moment, to correct them, to prove your intentions, to salvage your image. That is the trap. One sentence keeps you sovereign. One sentence prevents you from handing them ammunition. One sentence buys you time and keeps you above the emotional pit they want to drag you into. Then you stop. Silence is not absence. Silence is dominance when it is chosen. Most people can't handle a man who doesn't scramble. They interpret scrambling as guilt. They interpret composure as strength, and they adjust. This chapter is the upgrade from nice to respected, not by becoming aggressive, by becoming unframeable. When you own your frame, you become hard to manipulate, hard to shame, hard to corner. People stop casually testing you because tests stop working. And that is what a crown really is. Not admiration, not popularity, a silent agreement that you are not a man to be handled carelessly. Your 8th upgrade is where you stop trying to be chosen and start being sought. You become scarce on purpose. The NPC lives like a public park, open gates, constant access, constant availability. His attention is a charity, his time is a donation, his opinions are everywhere. He thinks visibility equals importance. It doesn't. It equals familiarity, and familiarity is the enemy of reverence. Here is the law. If people can reach you whenever they want, they will value you whenever they feel like it. So the behavior you replace is this. Replace constant presence with intentional absence. A modern prince understands a brutal mechanic of human psychology. The mind respects what it cannot fully possess. Scarcity creates weight, distance creates imagination. And imagination is where reputation becomes larger than reality. This isn't about being aloof. It's about refusing to be cheap. In 2026, everyone is accessible. Everyone is on display. Everyone is explainable. That's why nobody feels powerful anymore. They are always on, always available for consumption, always reacting to keep attention. The modern prince exits that marketplace. He does not chase attention. He designs it. This begins with a simple principle. You do not let your life be continuously observed, because constant observation invites constant judgment. Constant judgment invites constant adjustment, and constant adjustment turns you into a performer, not a ruler. So you choose windows. Windows of communication, windows of presence, windows of social life, windows of exposure, and outside those windows, you go quiet. Quiet is not emptiness. Quiet is cultivation. When you become less visible, your actions start to matter more. People pay attention to what you do because they cannot rely on endless updates to soothe their curiosity. They stop treating you like background noise. And here's the part that transforms your reputation. When you are not always present, people must decide what you are without being able to check. That forces them to use the only signals that remain: your standards, your results, your consistency, your calm, which means your identity becomes defined by what you repeatedly deliver, not by what you repeatedly say. Now, this upgrade has a social cost. Some people will accuse you of being distant. Some will interpret it as arrogance. Some will test you harder to see if you can be pulled back into old access. That's the point. Your scarcity exposes entitlement, and entitlement is the clearest proof that you are being used. Practical step for the next month. Make your presence deliberate. Stop showing up everywhere. Stop reacting to everything. Stop being in every group chat, every comment section, every emotional storm. Choose fewer rooms and walk into them with more weight. Choose fewer words and let them land. Choose fewer connections and make them higher quality. Your goal is not to become invisible. Your goal is to become a signal, because a crown is not built through constant proof. Constant proof communicates doubt. It says, "Please notice me." A modern prince never begs for recognition. He becomes the kind of man whose absence is noticed, whose presence changes the temperature, and whose attention feels earned. Scarcity is not a tactic for dating. It is a governing principle for life. You are not a public resource. You are a private institution, and institutions do not open their doors to everyone who knocks. Your 9th upgrade is where you stop being a decent man and become a dangerous one. You master consequences. The NPC is trained to be endlessly reasonable. He negotiates with disrespect. He tolerates small violations to keep the peace. He forgives without change. He complains privately and complies publicly. He teaches people, slowly, that they can cross him and nothing will happen. And then he calls it maturity. It's not maturity. It's surrender with manners. Here is the law. A boundary without consequence is a request. So the behavior you replace is this. Replace emotional reactions with calibrated consequences. A modern prince does not punish out of anger. He adjusts access as a matter of policy, calmly, consistently, without speeches, because the world is full of people who will test you just to see if you are real, not evil people, opportunistic people. And opportunism is normal. It is human. The only thing that stops it is cost. If crossing you has no cost, you will be crossed. So you develop a strict internal code. When someone violates a standard, you do not argue. You respond with a change in behavior. Less time, less warmth, less information, less availability, less trust. This is how power actually functions, not through rage, through removal. And here's the part that upgrades your reputation fast. You do it the first time. Most men wait until the 10th violation, then explode. That explosion makes them look unstable, emotional, inconsistent. The other person doesn't learn respect. They learn how far they can push you before you break. A modern prince teaches a different lesson. The first violation receives an immediate, proportionate adjustment. Not dramatic, not theatrical, just real. People adapt to what is consistent. Consistency is what turns you from nice into serious. Now apply this across your life. With friends, you stop rewarding disrespect with proximity. With family, you stop rewarding guilt with compliance. At work, you stop rewarding poor planning with emergency access. In romance, you stop rewarding ambiguity with commitment. You don't need to threaten. Threats are for men who don't act. You act quietly, and you let them connect the dots. This is the psychological mechanism. When consequences are silent and consistent, people attribute them to your character, not your mood. They stop thinking, he's upset today. They start thinking, that's who he is. That is reputation. Then comes the hardest upgrade. You stop trying to be fair to people who are not being fair to you. Fairness is a social ideal. Power is a social reality. The modern prince does not abandon ethics, he abandons naivety. He understands that some people only respect strength, not explanation. So he becomes fluent in one sentence internally. If it happens again, access changes. No anger, no revenge, just policy. Practical step. Write 3 non-negotiables for your life right now. 3 behaviors you will not tolerate: disrespect, inconsistency, manipulation, whatever is bleeding you. Then decide, in advance, the consequence for each one, not a punishment, a removal. Because removal is clean, removal is quiet, removal is royal. This chapter is where your crown becomes real. Not because you intimidate people, because people learn with certainty that you are not a man they can violate without paying for it. And once they learn that, something shifts. They don't just treat you better, they think twice before they try you. Your 10th upgrade is the final seal, not a trick, not a posture, an identity. Because the modern prince is not a man who occasionally acts powerful. He is a man whose life is engineered so power is the default outcome. The NPC lives in bursts: motivation, collapse, guilt, repeat. He makes promises to himself, then breaks them quietly. He negotiates with his impulses. He waits to feel ready. He lets mood write the schedule, and every time he betrays his own word, his self-respect bleeds out invisibly. Here's the law. If you cannot command yourself, you will spend your life being commanded by others. So the behavior you replace is this. Replace inspiration with obedience to your own code. This is where the crown becomes permanent. You stop asking, what do I feel like doing today? You start asking, what does my standard require? A modern prince has a personal constitution, simple, clear, non-negotiable. Not 100 goals, a small set of laws that govern his life. What he does every day, what he never tolerates, what he builds no matter what he protects at all costs, and then he enforces it like an institution enforces policy. no drama, no debate, no exceptions because you're tired, emotional, bored, or disappointed. This doesn't make you robotic. It makes you reliable. And reliability is rare, which is why it creates dominance. Because when people sense that you do not break your own rules, they stop trying to break them for you. They feel the gravity of a man who does what he said he would do, not performatively, not loudly, quietly, repeatedly. This is the ultimate reputation upgrade. Your word becomes weight, not your word to others. Your word to yourself. Now here's the practical step that turns this into reality immediately. Choose one daily ritual that proves sovereignty and make it non-negotiable for 30 days. One ritual, one proof. Not because it's magical, but because it trains the nervous system to obey you again. It rebuilds internal authority. It ends self-betrayal. Then you add a second ritual only after the first becomes automatic. This is how princes are built, by stacking small laws until discipline becomes identity. And once discipline becomes identity, your entire life changes. Your confidence stops being emotional and becomes structural. Your boundaries stop being ideas and become reflex. Your reputation stops being a hope and becomes a consequence of how you move. You don't need to announce you've changed. People will feel it in the friction. They will feel it in how hard it is to access you cheaply. They will feel it in how little you need their approval. They will feel it in how cleanly you decide. They will feel it in how calmly you remove what disrespects you. They will feel it in your silence, your output, your timing, your standards. This is the crown. Not something you wear, something the world recognizes because you no longer negotiate with your lower self. You are no longer the NPC. You are the modern prince. Subscribe, like, commit, live the doctrine daily, and regain your crown back permanently.